legacy. It is the most volatile currency in the world of professional wrestling. We speak of the Unois, the Rhodes, the Flairs. We obsess over the bloodlines that built the canvas we worship. But every once in a generation, a bloodline bleeds in from the outside. A lineage that wasn't forged in the territory days of the South, but in the disciplined silence of the dojo and the blinding lights of Hollywood action cinema. We thought we had seen every second-generation star the world had to offer. We thought the roster was set, the hierarchy established, the glass ceilings reinforced. We were wrong, because while the world was watching the bloodline crumble, and while the world was watching the Judgment Day rise, a storm was gathering in the Pacific. A storm carrying a name that defined 90s action cinema, a name synonymous with broken wrists, Aikido mastery, and a stoic, untouchable aura. Steven Seagal, a polarizing figure, a myth, a legend. But this isn't his story. This is the story of the weapon he left behind. The story of the night the WWE realized that the game hadn't just changed, it had been redirected. The date is irrelevant because the feeling is timeless. It is the feeling of a vacuum waiting to be filled. In the center of the ring stands Charlotte Flair, the queen, the standard-bearer of wrestling royalty. She has just dismantled a challenger in under 5 minutes. She is bored.
Else.
She holds the microphone like a scepter, her breathing barely elevated. The crowd is buzzing, not out of excitement, but out of a desperate need for something new. Her voice echoes through the arena. Is there no one left? I have beaten the legends. I have broken the rookies. I am the mountain that you cannot climb. If there is anyone in the back who thinks they have a legacy worth standing next to mine, ... come out here and bow down. Hubris. Tragic flaw of every great champion. Charlotte expected a returning veteran, maybe a call-up from NXT. What she got was a ghost story coming to life. The arena plunges into absolute darkness. The darkness in WWE usually signals fear, The Undertaker, Bray Wyatt. But this darkness felt disciplined, cold. A single, sharp strike of a Japanese taiko drum booms through the speakers. A spotlight hits the top of the ramp, revealing a silhouette. A woman. She is tall, imposing, wearing a long, hooded gi-style robe that trails on the metal ramp. She stands perfectly still. Music kicks in, not rock, not pop, but a fusion of traditional Eastern strings and a heavy, grinding industrial beat. Commentary is stunned, noting the posture and the stillness. That isn't a rookie shaking in their boots. That is a predator surveying the field. She begins to walk. It isn't the strut of a sports entertainer. It is the glide of a martial artist. Efficient. Lethal. As she passes the chaotic fans reaching over the barricades, she doesn't acknowledge them. Her focus is laser-locked on the queen in the ring. The Titantron finally flickers to life, flashing a single graphic in crimson red. The daughter. Inside the ring, Charlotte Flair, a woman who has never shown fear, takes a half-step back. Not out of cowardice, but out of instinct. She recognizes the energy. The hooded figure slides under the bottom rope, walks to the center of the canvas, and stands nose-tunes with the most decorated woman in history. The figure reaches up and pulls back the hood. The arena lights flash up, face is striking, intense eyes, dark hair pulled back tight. Arissa LeBrock is the daughter of Steven Seagal and Kelly LeBrock. A genetic fusion of Hollywood royalty and martial arts lethality. B. The crowd is confused for a split second, the murmur growing into a roar as the recognition sets in. The name Seagal ripples through the demographics. But Arissa isn't here to be a meme. And then, violence. Charlotte, feeling disrespected, goes for a slap, but it never connects. In a blur of motion that the cameras almost miss, Arissa catches Charlotte's wrist. She doesn't strike back. She pivots. Using the Aikido principles of her father, she uses Charlotte's own momentum, twisting the wrist and sending the queen flying across the ring in a spiral. Charlotte lands hard on her shoulder, shock plastered across her face.
Ow.
We create stars who are brawlers, flyers, technicians.
Us.
They haven't seen a pure defensive master in the women's division. Arissa stands her ground, hands open, waiting. Charlotte scrambles up, furious, and charges with a big boot. Arissa sidesteps, minimal movement, maximum efficiency, and sweeps the leg. Charlotte hits the mat again. The garden is realizing they are witnessing the birth of a new archetype. Charlotte, humiliated, rolls out of the ring, clutching her arm. She stares up at this newcomer, eyes wide with a mixture of rage and disbelief. Arissa doesn't chase her. She doesn't taunt. She simply bows. A traditional, respectful, terrifying bow. While the arena is stunned, the backstage area is a beehive of panic and excitement. Triple H watches on a monitor, a rare smile creeping across his face. He knows what he just unleashed. Paul Heyman is cornered by an interviewer, looking sweaty and disheveled. "That is not a sports entertainer," Heyman says. "That is a weapon of war." And no, I didn't know. Nobody knew. So that is the problem. When you bring the volatility of Hollywood and the discipline of the East into this ring, the balance of power shifts. Charlotte Flair is in trouble. We are all in trouble. Social media is already melting down. Within 3 minutes, Seagal trends #1 worldwide. The narrative has shifted instantly. The headline isn't about who won the matches tonight. No, it's about the invasion. But why now? Why does Arissa LeBrock choose the squared circle? The narrative writes itself. She is here to wash away the sins of the diva era, to bring a realism that has been lacking. Inside the ring, Arissa asks for a microphone. Her voice is calm, contrasting with the screaming crowd. "My father taught me that the most dangerous man in the room is the one who doesn't have to raise his voice. He taught me that motion is power. You all look at this ring and see a stage. I look at it and see a proving ground. Charlotte Flair calls herself the queen, but a queen is nothing. To a dragon, the mic drops with a thud that echoes like a gunshot. It was the perfect soundbite. In one sentence, she established her brand, her heritage, and her target. The show is over, but the story is just beginning. Cameras catch Charlotte Flair storming out of the arena, refusing to answer questions. She is rattled. For the first time in years, the queen looks mortal, and in the background, walking calmly to a black SUV, is Arissa. No entourage, no bags, just her. A reporter frantically asks her goal. She stops, turning to the camera, the lens flaring off the streetlights. "The title is just gold," she says. "I'm here for the legacy. I'm here to show you that the fight has only just begun." The arrival of Arissa LeBrock isn't just a debut. It's a paradigm shift. For years, the women's division has evolved from athleticism to storytelling. Now, it moves into a new phase. Combat realism. The locker room is on notice. The flashy moves, the rehearsed spots, they won't work on someone who can neutralize you before you leave your feet. As the credits roll on Monday Night Raw, the image burned into everyone's retina isn't a celebration. It is the image of Charlotte Flair, the greatest of all time, looking up from the canvas at a woman who barely broke a sweat. The dragon has entered the dungeon, and the fire is rising. Next week, the fallout begins. Triple H has promised an explanation. Charlotte Flair has promised retribution. But the question remains, can you fight what you cannot touch? Can the WWE style adapt to the Aikido master? Or will the daughter of Steven Seagal break the arms of every hero we have until there is no one left to wave to the crowd? The script has been flipped, ink is dry, and the new star isn't looking at the stars above. She's looking at the victims in front of her.